You're live. Hey folks, it's going to be a very rough live stream. I wanted to talk about the 5-button protocol that I was trying to get working via the mouSTer. Maybe first some thoughts on like what is the 5-button protocol. So I'll just get that up here. This user Crystal CT created this 5 plus button joystick. He's got his GitHub repo here. And he's got his test program here where he does the usual standard fire button, the pot X, pot Y fire buttons, and he made an additional to the select and start fire buttons. He provided a schematic for building a joystick that does such things for those that want to build it. But I think the crux of it though was somewhere mentioned here, the logic for the pot X. Sorry, no, where's it? Okay, is it start? Oh, my eyes can't find it anymore. Somewhere here it was saying like select is. Okay, here we go. The circuits for select is when up and down, select button is when up and down on the joystick are set, and the start button is when the right and left joystick. So these are impossible things for a joystick to do. So that's why it's it became the mechanism for him to provide these extra buttons. So yeah, that's the gist of it there. That it's a pathway to give us quickly 2 extra buttons to make the button count move up to 5. So as in like button 1 equals your standard button. I guess button 2 would be pot X using the the paddle pot X instead of using it as like an analog, because normally this is a value within the range of 0 to 255, but we'd be using it differently if we treat it as a button. We'd be sort of going from one extreme to the other, and you'd use pot Y for the second paddle in the same fashion, treat it like a button, and you've got 3 buttons. But then all this up down stuff would get us a button 5 4 4 and a button 5. So yeah, altogether we'd get 5 buttons this way. But yeah, there's a gotcha here that these new buttons can't be used alongside your normal joystick movement. You might be tempted to think I can sort of move the character around and have some extra fire buttons of sorts, but no, it can't be like that, because you can see it's already making use of movements to get away with this. So you can only really use such buttons this way, like if the use case is in isolation. And luckily, for most games that have a select or start button, your use case is to press it in isolation. You're not really caring about pressing it alongside joystick movement. So I think this is a modest protocol to achieve 5 buttons, and yeah, there's some win to be had here, so I think it's worth exploring. And like in the case for Monsterland, Wonderboy Monsterland, I'm hoping that this button will be the insert coins, for player 1, 2, and the start button, it's like your start game button inside the arcade game. And I think that's a convenience. Instead of going to the keyboard, to do this, you can do everything right from your game controller, gamepad. So yeah, that's the gist of it. But there was a gotcha that the current mouSTer firmware doesn't seem to support the 5-button protocol. It used to, but then they removed it because it seemed like nobody was using it, I guess. And so I asked in this ticket, and they've brought it back. So yeah, that ticket's over here. So I've pinging them. Yeah, they mentioned that they already had it before. I made a case for we're going to give it a try in the Mega 65. And what's this? This is yeah, I guess making the case for getting this going. And here he's provided this trial firmware for me to try, which I've been giving a try now. Yeah, I've used that draft firmware. But there was a gotcha, like maybe if you see my last video, I had configured the mouSTer before with my gamepad with this older firmware, older mouSTer firmware that it had. But once I upgraded to the one inside the ticket to try with this 5-button protocol changes. Things changed in the firmware, which took me by surprise. But in the good news, the select and start buttons, when I configured them, that they work nicely in the Monsterland game. But the bad news, I think, no, even before I get to that stuff, I left a comparison of those two. The older firmware is on the left. The newer, this is 3.12.2019, and a newer one that has this 5-button protocol, 3.2.4.7.9.6. Maybe we can go through the diff and see the next diff. Some of it is more contemporary style of these settings. I think these are the same settings. 2 is heartbeat, so that's not so interesting. Mouse, it was a Mega type. No, that's not interesting for us. We're not configuring it as a, what do you call it, as a mouse this time. We're configuring it as a gamepad. Micro step, I don't care. Oh yeah, the revpot lines, that confused me because the file has 2 revpot lines. I mentioned in the last video too. I asked that on the in here as well. Yeah, this revpot lines. Did I ask that somewhere? I asked why are there 2 revpot lines, and I got an explanation back that one was for yeah, one of them is for mouse and the other is for gamepad setting. So since I haven't configured this as a mouse but as a gamepad, this one, if I scroll back up, yeah, this revpot lines was relating to mice. So I don't need to comment it out, but I can just leave it there because I'm not caring. These M buttons are the mouse buttons. I don't care about those. C buttons, I think that's the C1351 mouse buttons. We don't care about those. But gamepad, since we've configured it as a gamepad, we care about this stuff more. And yeah, here revpot lines, I definitely want to set to true in my case. Further down, okay, here we get the old firmware's game button mappings compared to the new firmware's game button mappings. The first 3 buttons seem the same. Yeah, the 4th button, it's my Y button on the controller. Maybe I should get a picture of the F710 controller. I don't know if it's Logitech F710. Get a nice image. Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, that's an old one from my site. Okay, that'll do the job. Where? Yeah, okay, X, Y. All right, so I'll pop in and out from there. So yeah, this one, the Y button, I haven't mapped it to any, like this is the O1 is the standard Commodore button. So that's nothing new, but I have made Y button here equate to it. The asterisk was to turn it into rapid fire. They describe that here. This asterisk can become the auto fire button. So that's nothing exciting. But yeah, the change, yeah, in the old firmware here, I skipped G button 5 and 6. They didn't seem to be used back in the old firmware. But in the new firmware, they are used. They're my controls LB and RB buttons. So if you look at that, LB is here, RB is there. And you can look at the old firmware, it also had LB and RB buttons, but they were mapped to different G buttons in this list. So yeah, it's a little confusing, but I'm guessing in the history of mouSTer firmware, maybe the mappings of buttons had changed at some point in the firmware, so there's an old ordering of mappings that changed to this new one. In a way, this new one looks better because I found more of my controls buttons in it. In this old firmware, some of them were missing. There was no, I could not find LT or RT, but here they have appeared. So I think the change is for the better. But also here I've mapped now the start buttons to, oh, so my control start button and back button. So this is the new 13. That didn't exist before, these 2 lines in the comments. 12 equates to up and down or north and south. So this is equating to a select button. And I've put that here to 12 on my controller's back button. My back button is here, and 13 equates to, oops, sorry, I don't do that. 13 equates to left, right, or west, east, which is equating to a start button, and I've put 13 here as my controller's start button. And again, this is different to where they were positioned in the old firmware. Back here, they were positioned for my controller in 13 and 14. So yeah, there must have been some shuffling about from old firmware to newware. So yeah, just be mindful of that if you have to configure your own controllers. That if you have an old firmware, it might be mapped one way, and if you upgrade to a firmware like this, you might have to reassess where your buttons are positioned in this mapping. Okay, but yeah, once I sorted that out, things were looking good. The start button and the back button were behaving well. So, but the bad news was with the new firmware, when I played Monsterland, I couldn't jump anymore. This jump was set to the second button, this G button 2. It used to work when the mouSTer had the old firmware, but all of a sudden it stopped. And when I looked into that, I noticed when I was running the old firmware, when I pushed the buttons, the pot X, Y values, they would used to jump from, the maximum 255 or FF down to 0. But once I installed the new mouSTer firmware, these pot X, Y values, once you push the button, it's jumping from FF not to 0, but like, to 6 or 7. And yeah, Monsterland, the arcade core, it was assuming that this was going to be a perfect jump from the maximum FF down to 0, and that wasn't happening anymore, and that's why I couldn't jump anymore. So yeah, talking with the mouSTer team, they suggested maybe making things more lenient, saying if it's under halfway hex 80 or 128, we assume it's pressed, or if it's above, we can say it's released. And yeah, I made a PR with tweaks like that, and I'll talk it over with Muse and Shoestring. We're underway with that conversation now. But yeah, this change will take a while to propagate through because he's got a lot of arcade cores and not that much spare time. And each core has an R3 version, an R6 version, and yeah, once we've settled on this, yeah, it's just you'd have to give it time for such a change to propagate through. But if you did want to try the tweaked core I built, I'll drop a link to that in the description. I think I had it on Discord somewhere, didn't I? If you're on the Discord channel, if I can find it, I'm pretty sure I dropped it somewhere here. Ah, here, there it is. Yeah, I can drop it in here as well. Yeah, if you want to try it, you'd have to grab the new mouSTer firmware. That'd be one thing you'd need to do, which was on this thread up here. And you'd hunt down, where is it again? This firmware here, grab that, and just find some instructions on how to install that new firmware in. And then you'll be fiddling with the mouster.ini file and figuring out what your controller's buttons, which G button values they map to, and then what C64 buttons you'd like them mapped to again. Yeah, but once you've got that, you're in a good position to give it a try with this this test interim core for R3. Maybe I'd also share the Vivado experience of it's my first time building an arcade core and how I went about that. I had a new laptop. I'm not streaming from the new laptop, but yeah, I had to install Vivado all over again. And my go-to for this, just so you know, it's in the Mega 65 book, the big compendium there. If you go right to the bottom of the the appendices section here, you open that up, you go all the way down, and one of the last few chapters there is flashing the FPGAs. Open that up, and you'll see this installing Vivado section. If you follow that through, even though this is from 2020, back it was documented all the way back then. We're in 2025 now. I think it still works reasonably well. You can do jump to the download page. It'll take you pretty much where you need to go. It's now 2025. You grab the newest version, and yeah, the steps are pretty much the same. One thing that tripped me up though was the license stuff, because I'll just go back to the VHDL channel. Um, I had this memory that you had to grab a license from online. I remember there was some sort of license manager software, and well, it's even documented in the PDF still that you had to get this free Webpack IP license, blah blah blah, connect now, and all this hoo-ha. And then in this 2025 edition, this license manager has dropped some of these settings. So initially I panicked, like, where am I going to get my license when it's all sort of like just trial or full purchase, blah blah blah. But yeah, I sort of, well, ChatGPT helped out, and it said, what is it? Yeah, this new edition that's the free baseline, and you don't need any external activation or licensing anymore. So yeah, that makes life easier because yeah, the license stuff used to be a pain in the neck. So now that you just download this and and it's free and you don't have to fiddle with licensing. So yeah, it's actually better now than it used to be. Um, any other things I'll mention there? Yeah, grabbing the arcade core. Muse pointed me to his repository. If I can find it again. Which one is it? Not that one, not that one. Yeah, it was this one. This one over here. Um, and yeah, I just grabbed the from the code that URL. I grabbed that, and yeah, it's a matter of cloning that. I won't do it here, I think. Grabbing the submodules, and then inside here, there's this XPR file. That's the project file for Vivado. So I won't do this in Vivado because it will take too long. Inside core. I personally, I've only got an R3 board for my Mix65, so I would open up that XPR project in Vivado. But sorry, my headset conked out again. But if you've got an R6 board, you could use that one instead. Um, some troubles I had under Windows. Yeah, there were some gotchas here. Um, there was a certain I say a script that got triggered early on in the synthesis. This synth pre TCL script, and it assumed that it would run some scripty stuff in Linux, and of course that's not going to work under Windows. And so, I mean, you could probably find people more, like if you search for that in Discord, you'll see mentions of people saying get rid of it for Windows, and that's pretty much what I did. I got rid of the file, so in core, what was it in? It was in synth. I think is it in M2M ROM? Yeah, there it is. Synth pre TCL. So I shouldn't say that. It's in M2M ROM. Not only deleting the file wasn't enough, you had to kind of delete a reference to it. I think you see that reference when you open up the Vivado GUI. I wish I took a screenshot, but nah, sorry, I didn't this time. But hopefully you'll hunt that down. But it also meant that, yeah, whatever this script used to do, you're now going to have to do it manually instead of doing it through Vivado. So I guess the crux I saw here is this running of this make ROM script. Yeah, and I find that I couldn't do it under Windows, but if you've got some kind of Linux-like environment, I installed WSL2 with Ubuntu for Windows, and inside there I ran that make ROM sh script there. When I was searching for that in Discord, I also saw Sire2002 mention another script to run, a make toolchain one. It wasn't mentioned in this script file here, but I did that one anyway. I don't know if it's necessary or not, but yeah, I suppose we can hunt that down if we search for that make toolchain. Yeah, I thought it would make ROM maybe. Surely it would be there. It was here. This one. Why couldn't I find make toolchain? I don't know. It's this one. Yeah. Oh, because it's a hyphen and not an underscore. Yeah. He had some things he felt were worth doing. He mentioned the make ROM step 2. Yeah, so I did that one as well. Again, I don't know if it's necessary, maybe. But yeah, after I did those manually, I could build those manually. Then I can jump back to Vivado and build the bitstream fine. I was thinking I could also show you the PR of my changes if you're curious. Some might be, some might not be. Where is my PR? I guess it's in his, yeah, pull request here. Here it is. I guess I'll go to files changed. I don't know how easy this is to view, but we've got some sort of jump button test. My eyes can't see it so well. Maybe if I shrink this a little so there's no, that's really tiny. So jump button is 0. I think it's inverted logic when the keyboard Mega 65, the Mega key is pressed. Yeah, on these arcade cores sometimes have keyboard presses that can do the same job as the joystick. So we are using the player 1's jump is activated if the Mega key is pressed. Again, it's inverted logic when the Mega key is 0, or the pot 1 value is 0. Well, that's what it used to be. It was hardwired to 0 or FF, or kind of 0 or anything except FF. Okay. And now I've changed it to or pot value is less than 80. So if that's the case, then the jump button will be equal to 0, which means on in inverted logic. Otherwise, it will jump button will be 1, which is off in inverted logic. Yeah, and I did that for jump 2 for player 2, and similar changes. There's a polarity thing that Muse added, I think because of Amiga multi-button joystick versus Commodore 64 multi-button joysticks. The way the polarity works on the joysticks is different, I think. It even got a mention in this chap's schematic here. If you look at this corner here, if I can zoom in there, hey, it's getting small. Oh, I'm confused. Here we go, this corner here. We can see this is like a pull-up to 5 volts if it's a C64 style joystick expectation, or a pull down to ground if it's a sort of Amiga fire expectation. So yeah, there's this sort of variation going on, and that's what that RevPot line stuff relates to as well. So yeah, and Muse is also, because when we got the mouSTer firmware, of course, we can control, that sort of possibility, which way it's going to pull up, pull down to via this RevPot lines setting. But for people that own an Amiga joystick or for a Commodore 64 multi-button joystick, they don't have that luxury to open up a mouSTer ini file. They'll just be plugging their joystick straight to the DB9. So for them, that's why Muse added that setting inside the game itself, a sort of RevPot lines setting inside the game. So where was I? I'm getting a bit sidetracked. Yeah. So that was making the ranges more lenient to get the jump button working again. As for this one here, and this was me, the start button behavior and the what do I call it, the select button behavior. Again, there are key presses on the keyboard that equate to this. So if we want, if we press the number 1 key on the keyboard, that's like inserting coins for player 1. And I added this extra, and also if the left and the right key are pressed, I know it's an OR, it should be an AND, but this is inverted logic, so everything becomes upside down. So yeah, you just have to trust me that in inverted logic, OR is AND. But, so yes, if the left and right are together, then we're inserting a coin as well. We're treating it like the start button. Sorry, oh yeah, start button, sorry. Oh, I'm mixing them up. The insert coin stuff is down here. So this is up and down, and this is left and right. So yeah, that's the gist of the change. Let's go back. Anything else I want to say? Uh, that's about it. I guess the protopad protocol was something I don't have the bandwidth to think about yet, but it's something I guess the Mega 65 community can consider in future. It's currently in development, but it does promise to support nine or sorry, 8 buttons that can, be pressed alongside the joystick. It's a different kind of protocol to make it happen. I think it's like a serial protocol. Um, I believe the R3 boards won't be able to support it from what I heard, but the R6 boards will. So that's a shame for R3 board owners. But yeah, it's still something worth looking into, and maybe there can be workarounds. Maybe, like through the cartridge port, maybe we can have some sort of extension for R3 users. I don't know. But anyway, that's something for the future. Um, Maybe finally I should showcase it. I'll turn on my Mega 65. Sorry for a moment, and sorry for rambling so long. Um, where is it? OBS. Again, I've got my which one? This thing. I've got my camera in my pocket again. I don't know how well this will be. Just bring Wonderboy Monsterland up here. Yeah, load that up. It's not set very well, but hopefully sufficient just to showcase this. I hope it showcases it well. I'll try my best. Spacebar. Starting. Okay. Monsterland's here. I shall press this one to put the coins in. There we go. That's very encouraging. We see the credit count down there. Yeah. Okay, and I'll press the start button to start the game. Okay, and we've got our movement. Have we got our jump? Yeah, we've got our jump. Jump is all good. Up is there. I'll go in, I'll get the sword. Yeah, we've got our sword too. I can jump, still jump. All good there. So yeah, anyway, you can always add more coins as you go, as you run out of lives and such. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, all 5 buttons working, and yeah, hopefully we can make use of that in other arcades cores, and who knows, maybe even in Mega 65 games now. We've got sort of 5 buttons at our disposal as well. So let's see how it goes.